We're rolling.
Hey, it's Jakob, the editor-in-chief of the University Star, and you're watching The Sandmo Show.
Awesome. What's up, Sand Martians? Welcome to the Season 2 finale of The Sandmo Show. I'm your host with the Sandmost, Cleveland. Coming to y'all from Studio C at the University Star, I am joined by Editor-in-Chief Jakob Rodriguez. Jacob, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
How you doing today, man?
I'm okay. It's just, busy. We were talking about it earlier. It's just final season, so it's kind of not fun to be a student or just a person in a university community right now.
Yeah, there's a tweet I saw last week that said, like, the week between Thanksgiving and finals is like the last lap of Mario Kart where the music starts going really fast. You start getting hit by like all the items and shit.
And hit by the items I was.
Yeah. I see you're wearing the pink bunny costume from the Christmas Story. What's going on there?
We had a Christmas party today for the Star, so that was super fun. It was like an ugly sweater contest, and I promised my staff that I was going to wear a onesie, so pink bunny I am.
Pink bunny. Very nice, very nice. So, I'm not sure how much you guys can disclose on this right now, but there was a report last night of multiple gunshots, right? Do you guys have any more information on that right now, or?
We really don't know too much. The things about those things, we just won't really know a lot.
Yeah, 'cause it's San Marcos PD right now.
Yeah, it's San Marcos PD.
Yeah.
And they were over there by Old Rancho 12, so it might have even been Hayes County Sheriff's Department. That was kind of sick, though, just because my staff did that completely by themselves.
Oh, really?
I was at Walmart getting some command strips because I needed to put up some of my paintings. And I was just as shocked as everybody else probably, too.
Nice. Do you like to paint? Or do you
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, my friends paint and I hang them up.
Oh, that's we stand supportive friends. So you're the editor-in-chief of the University Star, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier. You took over on May 1st, that day.
April 1st, yeah.
April 1st, where that whole debacle happened with the white supremacist stuff. What was that like?
So I guess kind of another day in the life, really. I've covered a lot of things. I've covered, when neo-Nazis were flyering, the campus. I covered that. I covered any like negative thing that you could think about Texas State in the last 3 years. Like those are probably me, or in some way I helped. Yeah. But yeah, that was pretty much like, it was probably something that would happen to Jacob. And so that was supposed to happen. It didn't happen. I ended up going to stats that day. I'm just walking through, and that's kind of when everything kind of kicked off. That's when one of the hats was snatched, and then people started getting arrested and other stuff. I did not go to stats that day. I chose to be a journalist.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I mean, now from what I understand, those guys didn't even show up, right?
No, they did not. No.
That's that. I remember that being kind of the ultimate, like, just gaffe of the entire thing is we kind of just collapsed on ourselves in a lot of ways. They didn't even have to show up for us to get. It was just torn
I don't know.
apart, basically.
There's a lot of tension.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so now there's been a long, rich history of University Star editors-in-chiefs. You're talking about when you came to visit student government, you talked about LBJ, right? He was also a editor-in-chief, right?
He was a editor-in-chief for the summers. I forget the years, but he was a summer editor-in-chief.
Oh, that's really cool.
Because they used to split it up, like fall, spring, and then both of the summers were split sometimes.
Very cool.
The cool thing about him was that he just won it in a poker game. He's notoriously was, just very poor, from a poor background. And I guess, just one thing led to another, and they were just gambling, and the editor-in-chief at the time put the Star on the line, and that's how he got it. And that's the story I was told, at least, by the alumni.
That sounds very on character for him, for LBJ being that way.
It's like the most Texas State thing I can think of. It's pretty funny.
Why don't we play a game Texas Hold'em, see who's going to be the newspaper editor-in-chief? So, in general, what have been, I guess, some of the bigger moments for you guys throughout the year?
Throughout this year, we've kind of covered a lot of things, and I guess it all started with just like putting the community back in like local news reporting, because that's what was really just big to us. I kind of brought everything back into just like, like these are the two communities that we serve, Texas State and San Marcos, and we want to try and make those as like, I guess, like relatives to the community that we serve too, and so. You start by doing that just by telling people's stories. People just start telling people's stories. They'll start reading the paper, start reading anything. So So yeah, that's kind of what we started doing. It started with just breaking news and then just beat coverage. But then you start talking about like really like big statewide issues like underreporting of crime statistics or stuff like that. And so that was I have 9 stories on that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my baby kind of.
Talk about just an embarrassment for the university in a lot of ways. I mean, they admitted to it, but basically from what I understand, like they were kind of in a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if they didn't admit, they would have just been outed by the Tribune, right? Yeah,
well, essentially, I mean, so what happened with that, actually, I was headed to the Texas State SMU game in Dallas, and I got a call from the student body president, Corey Benbow, and he was telling me that the Texas Tribune was working on this story, and I was like, oh, that's great, me too. So I thought we was going to meet in the middle. I'm about halfway to Dallas, like somewhere Waco-ish, and then I get a text. It was like, hey, you should read this like right now. So I pull over, and they have their entire story. So I was like,
man. Oh, wait, so you had the story going yourself, too?
I had it, I've been working on it for about 2 years.
Oh, so they just stole your thunder completely.
A little bit, yeah.
Wow.
I was a little jealous, a little hurt. But I got into the office the next day after the game, and I wrote my version of the story, something that I thought got us kind of even with what they did. And then the next day, I think I talked to 15 or 16 different people on campus and off campus. And then we came out with our second version of the story, and that's the one I was really proud of. And then it's kind of just divulged from there, 7 different stories from then.
So what do you think, I guess, in terms of, I guess, the crime around Texas State with the news about the gunshots, just last night and the Clearly Act stuff, do you think there's been an increase in crime in San Marcos?
I think, well, that's also what the Department of Education has said, too. It's like it just didn't make sense, the amount of crimes that Texas State as an institution was reporting or was reporting to have reported, because everybody will be very clear to tell you that, like, the Cleary or the reportable data on the Cleary Act stuff that Texas State presents is not necessarily indicative of the crimes. It's just reported crimes. Yeah. But even then, like, that's still, like, it just wasn't adding up for the Department of Education. And so that's what's kind of, like, triggered everything else, too.
Yeah, and I think one of the police or university police, he was up there and he was talking about like they were using an outdated system or something that was built for like a city population or something. But my thing was always wondering, like, well, if you knew the system was out of date, why didn't you fix it once you knew there were problems with it? And so I mean, I'm not going to make any accusations, but I feel like that it was kind of convenient for them to have it work like that, where it did just happen to underreport them, at least on the record. I mean, I don't know if you want to comment on that or not, but
I don't know what happened. I mean, I do know what happened. It's just a lot of things happened that probably weren't supposed to happen. And I don't know, you talk about just one of the biggest takeaways that I got immediately was I was sitting in Eric Algo's office, the Vice President for Finance and Support Services, who directly oversees UPD. And UPD is the direct governing body of all of those statistics, or at least it's supposed to be. Now they're changing it to have like a compliance director and the whole Cleary person. So there's like 2 positions that are going to change potentially in the next couple months. But just looking at like what happened, I guess he was saying that, like, there was like miscommunication like across the board with the Title IX office, and so some of the things that were coming into the Title IX office, while they were trying to be just like supportive of like Title IX and what that is as a statute, there was just like miscommunication, and things just weren't getting reported across the board. To complement also the outdated police service that they were or not the police service, but the reporting system that they were using, and then also just like the amount of like campus security authorities that they had. They had like a rumored like 50, and these are like people like advisors, like either Greek or otherwise, just any club. Like you can think probably like at least 200 clubs at the top of your head, because I know there's just a billion clubs that we write about all of them. But all of those advisors would probably be like campus security authorities, and it was like a rumored 50, and then it shot up to I think 372, and now it's at 900 and something.
Seriously?
Yeah, no. So it was like 168% increase or something ridiculous like that. Like, no duh. Like, that's probably something that needed to change. And these are all things that just like had to happen with the standardization of like our Cleary reporting stuff. So kind of pivoting a little bit here, another thing I really want to talk to you about was you went to a journalist convention, or was it a... I did, yeah. I went to the management seminar for college news editors. It's in Athens, Georgia, at the University of Georgia. Grady College of Communication. They've had it there for like forever. And that's where I kind of got to meet a bunch of different editors-in-chiefs and like top editors. So like, if it's not like the editor-in-chief, it's like the managing editor, which is right below the editor-in-chief in most publications, or like the news editor or something high up there.
Did you meet some big names?
I met a bunch of different people. I met a lot of friends from Texas. We're the Texas boys. Me and my friend Brian, he goes to UTA, and my friend Luke is the editor-in-chief of the battalion at Texas A&M.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, we had a lot of fun.
So the trifecta, basically.
Yeah.
Texas colleges. I'm thinking, were there any, like, kind of celebrity names there? Because I know one of my friends, Emily, she goes to NYU.
Oh, yeah?
And they just have Anderson Cooper sometimes come in and, like, be a guest speaker in the classroom.
No, we didn't have anybody crazy like that. I wish. That would have been cool.
Yep.
We did get to meet a lot of people just from, like, because the headquarters of CNN is in Atlanta. So we got to talk to a lot of people from CNN and, like, people who were, like, right below the big names. It was pretty sick.
I am John Lemon's secretary.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, no, that I'm sure, what'd you get out of that mainly? What was your main takeaway?
My main takeaway, so I started in April, and I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do. And basically what I've been doing is just setting up a bunch of bumper rails for the Star that it hasn't had in a long time, and just, like, coming up with procedural guides and, you know, standardizing just, like, what we do on a daily basis. So, like, it is, like, more fluid and predictable and consistent and, like, stuff like that. And so that's what I was doing. And what I really wanted out of the conference is just, like, how to make, like, a distinct culture of the Star, because the Star as an entity has always been, like, a big thing. A couple of years ago when we transitioned to this building, actually we lost a lot of those, like, governing documents, so we had to go back and write them. And so I'm in the middle of writing, like, some sort of, like, transitional guides for, like, editors and stuff like that too, and it's kind of been a lot of work, but I got to talk to some of those people just about, like, what they do and how they do things, and so I was able to just steal some of their ideas.
Yeah, well, speaking of governing documents, student government, we just got done debating 2 meetings worth over a constitution. I think it's going to be interesting.
Well, I was the beat reporter for student government 2 years ago when they voted on the governing documents back then.
Yeah.
And since then, there's been a lot of times in student government just stuff where they've, like, been like, well, if only the Constitution said this specifically. And
it's been tricky. It's definitely been more divisive than I thought it would be, and the issues I thought would be divisive weren't, and the ones I didn't think were going to be divisive were. Because, it's the biggest agenda now with the student government Constitution is we're going for a separation of powers model, where we are trying to basically have the executive virtually disentangled from the legislature, so the president can't interfere with the legislature. We can't interfere with the president, because I think that was more the agenda we're going for, is because this is all stemming from the entire reason we want to redraft the Constitution is after the Connor Clegg incident, which I wasn't here for. Were you?
I was here. I was a beat reporter during Connor Clegg's presidency.
Yeah. Oh, what was that like? Because, as somebody who came in the year after that, like, it was just the stuff of legend. They're like, back in the Clegg incident of what was it, 17?
And then the next year was when the Star revealed the TPUSA stuff.
Yes, I remember. That
was one of my stories too.
First semester on campus, I was there for that, and I remember. Actually, funny enough, I wrote a letter to the editor. I don't know who it was at the time.
Carrington.
Yeah, I wrote it, and it was my first meeting of freshman council, and then they like, hey, come watch the Senate, see how you like it and stuff, and I was like, oh, this should be fun, and then we have what was his name? I forget the guy's name, but he comes up there and he basically lists out this indictment against Elijah lists out this indictment basically of Brooklyn Boring, and my jaw's like on the floor. I'm like, what is going on?
I'm pretty sure I was there taking pictures. If I wasn't, I was very near to there.
Well, gosh, at the time I was like, I didn't know like the amount of coverage student government like got in the press, so I wrote a letter to the editor. I was like, hey, I'm a freshman council member and I'm concerned about this, and I described it like because I didn't know you guys had a beat reporter there. I guess guess you weren't. And so it got published for a letter to the editor, and I thought it was kind of cool. I was like, hey, I'm published. That's a pretty cool thing to do the first couple of weeks here. And I just went about the rest of my year and everything. But then, once I became a senator, I think it was a couple weeks later, I was like, I just wanted to like look up like my name on the Star's website, like make sure like nobody like wrote an opinion piece or like this guy is trash. But turns out somebody actually replied to my letter to the editor a week later. I don't know who it was, but they were mean as hell to me. They were like, because I basically said, these accusations were laid at her feet, and she just didn't respond at all. And I'm like, I find that kind of concerning that she doesn't even do anything to rebut those, and basically absolute silence from her. And so like that was concerning. And then basically went this whole ramble about like how you don't have to say a damn thing when you're accused. I think it was a professor here or something, but they were all up in me. I was like, Jeez, I was like, and I didn't get a chance to respond.
It gets pretty nasty in the comment section and just other stuff too.
Do you guys get some like really hot takes for like opinion pieces or stuff? Or?
Occasionally, we just get random letters. I mean, I've been in here and then just people will come in and tell me stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Why are you telling me? You know, I'm kind of like the very top guy. They're talking about meal trades, and I'm outraged about this sandwich. Listen, I run a newspaper, sir.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Sir, this is a Wendy's. Yeah, but I also got like some prose one time. It was talking about a reporter in snake's clothing or something about a wolf. It was all over the place. It was kind of weird.
Did you end up publishing that?
No, of course not. I didn't see any like aesthetic merit to.
And so, kind of on the same note, the whole Connor Clegg debacle. Do you think that journalism has been under attack over the past couple of years?
I think it's kind of a fair assessment. I think it just depends on kind of like where you are in the world too. I think nationally, like for sure, and just like the way that the media it has been changing too, because the media changes every 3 years at least. But it seems like the last 3 years of just like anything in the media has like changed drastically.
So is it like a 3-year cycle?
That's just kind of how like technology works too. Yeah, about a 3-year cycle, and then you just see kind of like little advancements here and there. That's kind of what happened with like when Texas Tribune came out with their stuff, and like just whole nonprofit like media in general. Everybody was like, that'll never work. And then dude,
they're pretty big now.
They're pretty successful.
I find them to be one of the more reliable sources. That's for sure. So what do you think about the mainstream media part of these big establishments like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News? Do you think they're becoming less, I guess, credible as time has gone on because of just, I mean, time and time again, on both sides, you can expose media bias and stuff. Do you think that's a problem going forward, or do you think it's just kind of a component of the times that we're in?
I think all national media kind of feeds into like what like is like the most popular thing to do like now, which is just like, let's go get money, you know? And sometimes we got to get clicks, and sometimes we got to like cover things like truthfully or like other stuff like that. I'm not saying that everybody goes out of their way to like break journalistic ethics, but sometimes ethical lines are blurred a little bit when you're trying to chase a dollar.
Well, there's always those stories that are like too good to check or something like that, or I forget what the saying is. Basically, when it's breaking like that, you just have to jump on it.
And you know, sometimes that's like the number one virtue of any news outlet is to be accurate, you know, and that's what Marty Baron at the executive director of the Washington Post has said. In like, you know, that is the number one function of news, is to be accurate. Speed is second to that. Obviously, it's really good to be fast, but I would rather the star to be very right and then be very fast.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I mean, I don't know how I came across it, but I was watching a whole video on like Jon Stewart and his critiques of like the 24-hour media news cycle. I think that is a legitimate problem. I like the weekly updates. I mean, you guys have your website where you post things as they happen, but you get the weekly edition. And I feel like that, especially for like local news coverage, is very good. But even nationally, because I think Jon Stewart said that the only reason like CNN or Fox News need to be 24 hours is for events like 9/11, because it's just these constantly by the minute updates. But most stuff, you know, there's important stuff going on, but it's not every hour. Yeah. And so they need to have stuff to fill that time.
It's like the ESPN model, you know, you just get people talking up there, and then that's kind of what it is. And then what comes, you know? Well, at least people start talking about Lamar Jackson becoming the MVP, and it's like, hey, this is October, man.
Yeah. Hey, but it seems, I mean, because I feel like that model works good for like ESPN, because the opinions are just like opinions, and they, I mean,
not national issues.
Not national issues that have real impacts on people's lives. Like, I mean, I love Stephen A. Smith as much as the next guy, but he's wrong a lot. But like, you know, you get that, and it's okay kind of, because you know who Stephen A. Smith is. But I feel like you're starting to blur the line on like Fox News, CNN, stuff like that, where you have like the primetime slots are like Hannity and stuff, where it's not technically it's op-ed or it's opinion, but it's presented like news.
That's also just like, I guess the model that TV news follows too is like, you know, Hannity and all those spots, like those do get the biggest audiences, so you want them in primetime slots so you can just continue to bankroll your whole ecosystem of news coverage. Yeah, and that's not necessarily the best, but like that is what is working in advertising.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I've learned in all my poli-sci classes. They're like, well, hey, if news media has one bias, it's a profit bias. They're going to go with what makes them the most money. Yeah, what's most exciting, what sells the best, and that's for sure. I mean, I think
it's also just, I mean, you look at what happened to like just print like nationally. Like that was a refusal to not adapt quickly, and so I think TV and radio and these other outlets, digital now too, like those are now hyper aware to what happened to print, and they obviously don't want that landscape to be not ruined, because print isn't dead. I don't think it'll die. Like,
yeah, you're a big proponent.
I love print. Yeah, keep print pure, man. Keep print alive. But I don't know. That's just what works, you know. And so they're hyper aware of that and hypersensitive, and so when they think something works, they're just going to switch it and then do that.
Yeah. How do you think? I guess as you've been in journalism, how do you think the internet has kind of transformed news coverage, and what direction do you think it's going to be going in the next 5 years?
Everything's just quicker. Everything's quicker. Everything's at your fingertips. I can send out a push notification from our app and have everybody go in, or if anybody's on our Twitter, at University Star, they can subscribe to our push notifications too, like that. And I don't know, it's just super quick. Yeah. Which is why I had to adapt the breaking news style to fit it. So, social media posts are a part of our breaking news style. Well,
now. I mean, and especially with Twitter now, those big stories, you get the headline, but then it's just an endless stream of pundits and folks just giving hot takes. And it is odd. You just see the entire swarm, and that happens every time. I don't know. On a kind of a weird note, I don't understand how people get verified on Twitter like that too.
It's hard now.
Those check marks, but those folks who have those check marks, I've never heard of them in my life, but they're somehow verified. But you get those under any politician's post.
It used to not mean anything, but now those are everything now.
It's clout. So how do you see Twitter changing, I guess, the news game? You think it's just the quicker aspect?
Yeah, it's speed, and also Twitter's now attempting to turn a profit for the first time in forever. So they're now advertising and stuff. And then Jack came out and said there's not going to be any political ads. So that's kind of crazy.
What do you think the stance is on that? Because Facebook's going in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on that?
Well, Facebook is going under, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but Facebook is going under the model that we believe that this is free speech and this falls into free speech, and it's kind of like the equal time thing. We have to just let it happen. If it happens, it happens. It's cool if it doesn't. And Twitter's the opposite. I don't know. Twitter's also the land of memes, and where TikToks are resurrected and Vine is kept alive.
Yeah, that's true. It's a magical place. Everybody says they hate it, but we're all still there.
And professors have been telling me since freshman year that it's going to die.
Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter's going to die.
Really?
I don't know if Twitter will die. Snapchat is still alive too.
Well, people said MTV would never die too. That was the thing for my parents, especially. So I mean, you never know.
Well, that was at the dawn of the precipice of the TV industry too, when they would make bands like Nirvana, you have to perform right now or you're never going to make it in this.
On MTV. You got to do it. Because I don't know. Because I think it's been interesting to see the interaction, the debate around do social media companies have a responsibility to filter out unfactual things? Yeah. And I don't know, because it's been interesting because what was it? I think AOC, she put on her Twitter, she put out a fake ad on, it was on her Facebook. She put out a fake ad saying hey, do you know this Republican congressman endorsed the Green New Deal with me? And it's well, that's not true, but if I can just say it, I can cost him a Senate seat or whatever it is, I feel with a lot of this, the freedom of advertising stuff, it hinges on people advertising in good faith. And I'm not sure if we have an abundance of that these days online.
I don't know if we've ever had that, though.
Yeah.
Do you think we always have? Has it ever been pure?
I don't know, because you could point to
Are there just more avenues to be evil?
Yeah, that's because I'm thinking there was the yellow journalism in the 10s and 20s where you just sensational tabloid stuff. I don't know if it got any more. I think if integrity got better after World War II up until probably the 90s, but even then. I don't know. I feel things were going in a good direction. Mind you, I wasn't alive for most of this. I feel like historically looking, I think the advent of these 24-hour news agencies is what's kind of shifted the news, because then anything can be news because you're running it 24 hours. Yeah. Nothing has to be left on the cutting floor. You can bring everything, any potential leads out. And so I don't know. So let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay. So another one I want to ask you about is, throughout the year 2019, both you took over in the spring. Right? So even before that, what are you the most proud of from the start of this year? The biggest accomplishment, you think?
I think we've managed to make print good again. Okay. At the risk of saying make print great again. Yeah. I think, and by that I just mean if you pick up the paper on Wednesday or Thursday, it all still makes sense and it's still relevant. It's not, I've told my editors and the reporters at large, print is where we put everything. If you needed to just look at San Marcos, for 1 second, these are all the stories that you need to see. That's it. And so we lead with what's the most aesthetically pleasing, and like the best stories up front, because like duh, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
And so that was kind of an easy transition, but just getting, I guess, people to like follow that and like create a culture to support that is kind of the hardest thing that we're doing. But that's also what I'm most proud of, you know.
Yeah.
All the editors still love each other.
Yeah.
And then we're transitioning well too, because I'm losing a couple of editors to graduating, or to just graduation, and then actually getting jobs or whatever. Not playing pretend anymore. They're doing it for real.
And do real,
so
real
we got to move
stuff.
on, and so we've done that pretty successfully so far.
So before we take a quick break here, walk me through how kind of like the sausage is made in terms of the printing press, like the paper. Like where do you guys get your paper from?
Yeah.
What's it made of? Like, walk me through that. Like how does it get from the factory or whatever, the plant, to the boxes every week?
Cool. So if you guys don't know, we print every Tuesday. So new issue every Tuesday, and it's online too on issue ISSUU, and then you can just / University Star to get there. But we print it at a New Braunfels, the Herald Zeitung.
Okay.
And that's where UT prints theirs. The Herald Zeitung obviously prints theirs. San Marcos Records has a printing plant here too, and we used to have a contract with them for a very long time. I don't know what happened to that, but eventually we ended up just going with the Zeitung, and that was way before I ever got here. So we've been with them for a while. But to kind of like just break from there, on the other end of it, you know, usually reporters will get their assignment like a week before. So we're writing a week in advance, basically. You get your assignment, and then usually most deadlines are set by the editor to be like Wednesday night-ish, just so they can look at it, because I have a hard print deadline for Thursday. That's when everything should be in, because Friday I roll in with all the editors and we just say what's going, what's not, that sucks, that's not running at all, kind of thing. And we kind of plan out the issue for the next week like that. And we also like plan out the next week. So if we know like things are happening in advance, you know, oh, the president's getting impeached, well, we obviously need people there. We kind of got to plan like that. So that's kind of how that functions. And then it just keeps going like that. Yeah. But individually, like there's a lot of like different like things that go on. So it goes to reporter, to the assistant editor, to the section editor. So if you're in news, it goes to the news editor, obviously. Then it goes to my managing editor, which was Bailey this semester. Now it's going to be Sonia. Then it goes to me finally, and then I get to look at everything. And then after that, I think it won't get us sued and looks good and doesn't suck. Then it'll run, and then it gets placed on the print by my design editor, Molly. Okay, nice. Okay, so one last question I just thought of before we take a break. Was there one story throughout your entire career at the Star? Was there one story you really wanted to run, but you were either not the editor-in-chief and like they shot it down, or what was that one story that you really wanted to run and you never got the chance to? You know, I was trying to write the Cleary story for about 2 years, and the thing that had happened with it was I just couldn't prove a lot, and that was the same thing with the TPUSA story. Yeah, and it's just like you cannot like prove this. So like, you know,
all you know is something's just not adding up.
You know, it's not adding up, and you can prove pieces, but unless you can prove the whole picture, sometimes it's hard to. Especially, I was just a reporter at the time, you know, so talking to these juniors and seniors who are just way above here. You know, some of them are at Columbia and New York now. Like, they're amazing. So trying to prove them that I'm right is kind of hard too.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I was on the actually investigative committee for the last impeachment in student government. I was the only freshman there. I mean, for us, it was just lack of resources. I mean, we didn't have any legally binding power, and so we couldn't like demand somebody come testify before us if they didn't want to. So that was the hard part. Like, but even our conclusion was things aren't adding up. We used the the Star story like, hey, we're listed as a victory here in their pamphlet, but not the actual person's listed and stuff. So that was the ultimate thing. Like, it was just very non-conclusive. And I'm sure that's obviously really hard for journalists. It's just, and so you have it, but you can't prove it.
That's why when Elijah said that stuff, we were like, well, let's go. Next day, we're good. Finally, we can talk about it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. All right, and we are back, and we have time for some guest questions here, some questions of my own for you. We have a question here from Andrew Zimmel, Mr. Sports Prez. He says, how hard is it to be friends with the Sports Prez? Someone so handsome and so charismatic, and how do you not let me overshadow you, basically, is what he's asking.
You know, now he got that new haircut. He looks like kind of Aaron Judge.
So
I don't know. It is hard being his friend because he's very loved and very hated. So
yeah.
I'll go into Old Main and either get bullied for hanging out with him or be like oddly supported.
Yeah.
In some way.
Where does that love and hate come from? Just a sports hot
from
takes?
each other. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we love and hate each other.
Those are the best kind of friendships.
But I have his Disney Plus, so I have to be nice.
Oh, you
with
have the
him.
Disney Plus account?
Yeah, with him. So
is it worth it? Is Disney Plus worth it?
Yeah, absolutely. Just for the Mandalorian.
Mandalorian, Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda. That's what Zimmel calls me.
He calls you Baby Yoda.
He calls me Baby Yoda.
That's great. Okay, so now I have actually a personal question for you. So what do you think is the absolute story of the year for the University Star?
I've been talking about it a lot. I kind of want it to be my story, but I feel like it is the Cleary story in a lot of ways. But we also had a few other stories. We talked about God the Mother.
Yeah.
We talked about Haven just, kind of screwing over students and not being, V-Lofts was kind of another story. And that was mine by accident, too, just because a lot of things were like, whoa, my bad. And then I was just there, right place, right time. Yeah. And so me and Jaden went over there and took care of it. There's been a lot of just spot news, too, that had happened. I mean, the shooting at Rooftop was kind of crazy. And what? A square, of all places? You can't even really wear chains over there now.
Square is a sacred place.
Yeah. Keep your guns at home.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the Haven, the Haven situation, actually, funny enough, I mean, those people are still, a lot of them are still very much displaced.
Yeah. Well, not displaced, but different apartments that I'm assuming are either co-loaned or leased out to whatever. But yeah, not in Haven where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, in my my persuasion class, I was doing a presentation. I was talking about the persuasive methods my apartment complex uses to get students to either re-sign or comply, basically. And it was just, we're having kind of a group discussion about my presentation, talking about rent and stuff. And then the professor asked who pays the least in rent here? He goes, oh well, I pay $0. And he goes, well, how do you pay $0? Do you live at home? He goes, no, I signed with the Haven, and I'm currently at the Junction. I've been given 5 months of free rent.
Nice.
That's still, I mean, that is ridiculous because they guarantee to move in by August, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's also ordinances in San Marcos to sort of protect that thing, and that's why Haven has to do all these things now. Haven was also an advertising partner with the Star, so when that happened, and when we started reporting on them, they didn't necessarily like us, so they even threw away our little newsstand that we had in there, so you can no longer get copies of the University Star at Haven's leasing office.
Wow, that's kind of petty, honestly.
Yeah, so we took it back, and then we kept writing about them.
Yeah, well, that's a good move, honestly. So kind of going off that with the rapid growth of, I guess, these apartment complexes in San Marcos. But one in particular I think has been an eyesore for a lot of people is the Aspire apartment complexes.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because I thought that was university grounds. Did they sell it off?
That part, I think, I don't know exactly what the classification of the plot was. At one point, it was the hitch area, and that's where it used to be where the food trucks and stuff would be, And it was kind of a cute area, nice date area. I don't know. Yeah. I never utilized it as a freshman, so whatever. I guess I missed out. But now it's a huge apartment complex. Yeah. Similar in size to, I guess, to Linden or something like that big.
Didn't the city council were they condemning it because it didn't follow the regulation they agreed to? Isn't it too tall?
I'm not sure actually.
I've already seen something about that, but I don't think anybody in San Marcos is happy about that apartment complex.
No, and it looks awful.
It is an absolute eyesore because you have this cute little historic downtown area, and then there's just gigantic steel monolith in the background that ruins the skyline, especially from top of the hill view.
Yeah, if you're in the UAC arch for graduation pictures, it'll definitely show up.
It's got this gray block in the like.
So make sure you're in focus in your grad pictures, I guess.
So, what do you think about the rise of these big box apartment complexes? Because I've noticed Aspire, there's one that looks almost identical to it in College Station. Mm-hmm. I'd be willing to bet that's the same company. And because, I mean, I forget the name of the one in College Station, but it's the same build where it has a little, like, cutout for the pool and palm tree area. And it has a really vague name, also, like, one-word name. So what do you think, I guess, about the growth in San Marcos? And what do you think can be done to, I guess, steer it in a positive direction for students?
Well, I think it makes sense that, like, there's so much going on here just because we're sandwiched between two, like, metroplexes. And then you talk about, like, just, like, other growing, like, towns along the I-35 corridor. You have Kyle and Buda, like, right there too, who are just getting hit with the same, or if not, like, more significant problems because they're either closer over there or like closer on this side. I think apartment complexes in general for students are like predatory. You ever been to like on those tours and they show you a completely furnished place and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have a great life here, and then you move in, the AC's broken, like all these things are wrong, and a lot of them change hands like quite quickly too, just because like developers want to get in, get the most bang for their buck, and then get out. And that's kind of what happened with V-Lofts, actually, because that apartment complex has changed at least 3 to 4 different owners.
And hasn't even opened yet?
They're open, but they were the ones that had to be like displaced, and then you guys can come back. It's okay now.
V-Lofts was the one that had the structural problems, right?
That was crazy, yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, I can only imagine getting evacuated like late at night like that. How disruptive that has to be for student lives. Because, I mean, for me, if I had to get moved out and, like, live somewhere else, especially in the middle of, like, a semester like that, I'd be all out of whack.
But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where you live, but I stay at an apartment complex near the outlets, and not everything is as advertised, as probably a lot of students will find out when they start leasing stuff and stuff like that. But, I feel like I'm getting taken care of, so that's okay. And I'm not being completely screwed out of a lease. Yeah, so I'm like
honestly, it's about
It could be worse.
Yeah, I'm like, it could be a lot worse. I mean, I'm content with where I'm living, but I felt a little bit let down as soon as I walked in there. I was like, wow, this looks nothing like what was advertised, but I guess I should have been expecting that. So, and also I guess kind of on the same note, like with the multiple changing hands stuff, these developers and landlords, I wouldn't say it's a very like honorable profession, especially after the complex started.
It can be.
Yeah, but like a lot of these complexes, like you literally just build there, you wait for property value to go up, and you sell these rooms at way higher rates by the bedroom. And you basically get these students to pay a lot more than what the room's worth, and then you outsource any kind of management to a different company. And so I feel like that has always kind of been a scummy thing, that especially because here, like, we don't have a whole lot of buying power here. It's not like we can afford to, like, I'll just stay home. Like, a lot of us, if you're not living in San Marcos, you're probably commuting from either San Antonio or Austin. And so, you move here mainly for the convenience aspect of it if you're not living on campus, which it's hard to get a room on campus because these incoming freshman classes get so big. They get bigger every year. And that means there's less space for anybody who wants to stay on after freshman year.
I mean, and it's nice that Texas State wants freshmen to stay on campus, but sometimes it's a little unrealistic. Yeah. And it's like, well, these are how many people we have. And this is the biggest freshman class. And like, it's kind of like either a failure to adapt to like what we know is going to happen, or just like, unrealistic like standards that we're trying to set forth too. Like sometimes you have to give a little bit.
No, I totally agree. And I think it's always cute when the freshmen like post like, we're the biggest class in Texas State history, and I'm like, yes,
me too. 4 years
so
ago.
Are we. Like, get in line. Like we're growing, and I feel like there's a lot of concerns also for the environment around here. A lot of environmentalists saying like, if we keep cropping out these certain directions, we're risking ecosystems and stuff.
And that's why you have to build up in San Marcos now. Like you won't see an apartment complex like the Woods or Cabana Beach or Copper that are like spread out like that. You have to always build up now, and it's like to be a little bit more environmentally friendly, even though obviously like the environmental cost of building an apartment complex is obviously way greater than probably whatever you're doing.
Any effects it's going to have on the back end of it. Can I speak on the environmental angle? I'm not sure if you guys have been following the story that closely, but I'm sure you guys will be probably come 2020. About this pipeline that's coming down 35, right? So what do you think about that? Because I mean, I've seen every city council and every county say we don't want this coming through here, but somehow it's still getting pushed through. So, and I think this compounds very interestingly with a recent Senate bill that got passed in the Texas legislature, where it is illegal now to protest near or on critical infrastructure. I'm doing air quotes around critical infrastructure because it can be anything from a power plant to an oil pipeline, which in this case is, the situation, to water facilities, stuff like that basically energy production things. And so the problem is, I think the bill leaves it so wide open to what you can define as near or on critical infrastructure, to where it's ultimately up to the discretion of the company that's running through that area. So, I mean, I guess I wouldn't be surprised if some students got arrested.
Yeah,
because it's a felony offense.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this was kind of like in either indirectly or directly like related to like the stuff that happened in North Dakota.
It absolutely is.
People were just like camping out there and stuff like that. Well, obviously that's disrupting construction work and stuff like that. Obviously, it is fundamental to the freedom of speech and stuff like that. But that is definitely a way to stymie it.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's funny because you look at a lot of these red states after the Dakota Access Pipeline thing, they all started moving universally quickly. And there's a whole really kind of creepy website, if you think of it. It's a conservative think tank website where basically they have model legislation to introduce to these different states. And you basically just fill in the blanks for your state. And it's supposed to be legislatively sound across any state legislature, which I think it's kind of baffling in a lot of ways. Because it's a big, nice furnished website, but you don't hear about it. But it's open to the public. You can go see the stuff that you can pull off there as sample legislation, which is, I don't know. I mean, I think you'd be naive to think that this doesn't have to do with oil money in Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, I think definitely, just about every state congressperson here, whether it be House or Senate, are funded by oil companies or it's some kind of energy company to some extent. And I mean, it's gonna be a hard thing to root out of Texas's culture because it is a cultural thing in Texas. I mean, we had the Houston Oilers, for a while. But I do think, for in terms of green energy too, I think there is hope because Texas is the largest producer of green energy in the entire United States. Yeah. But we don't talk about that. But I think it's going to be a big industry. A lot of these companies like Exxon and stuff are starting to invest, thankfully. But I think it's going to be interesting because it's a felony offense to get caught protesting. It's already happened in Louisiana. Somebody's got arrested for it. I think their case is working its way up through the different appeals courts. Oh. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up on the Supreme Court. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what their ruling's going to be too, because that's going to be a tough one. So I guess we were already kind of talking about looking forward and seeing what's going to be happening next year. So where do you see the STAR going in 2020?
Digital first, digital always, digital forever. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what the entire industry is going towards. Is just we got to be everywhere all the time. I don't want to make the print product supplemental to what we do online, but I want to be first online always. Yeah. And so we have an app, we have a newsletter, we have all these different distribution models, and now it's kind of just using them all effectively, We want to be able to tell stories with multiple media, and so that's just utilizing our multimedia people and packaging stories, because people don't read stories like a newspaper anymore. Yeah. I mean, they should, because that's what I do. but that we understand that too. We kind of have to change with what everybody else is doing, because if we don't, then we're just gonna be left behind like everybody else. So a lot more digital stuff next semester. We redesigned our entire website, and then we're just continuing to redesign our entire website just to make sure it's good.
What do you think about the university's website redesign?
It looks way better.
It does look better, but I've heard
it came at a time that's kind of confusing for students.
Yeah, people are upset about that.
I don't check checks very often until a test or something, so I was a little put off. Yeah, but I mean, it's also not that impossible to navigate.
I use the Tracks app usually, so that's usually how I do it. But yeah, I've heard people complaining wow, the most critical time of year, and they just throw you a curveball like this. It seems like that's what always happens this time of year.
Pretty Texas State.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just in general, I was in Wisconsin last week for seeing all my family for Thanksgiving, and I mean, getting out of Chicago was a nightmare because all the bad weather. I had a 7:30 flight that didn't leave until 11. That was obnoxious. And then I was driving back, and my check engine light came on. It's still on. I'm gonna have to take it in tomorrow, but it's just all of this is hitting as finals are rolling around.
And then you can't even log into Tracks.
I know. Now Tracks is missing. It has been an absolute struggle. That's for sure. It seems like it's always the time of year when you're familiar at all with Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Anything that can go wrong will go wrong at the absolute worst possible time. It seems like you just gotta be prepared for it. And so, kind of on that note, to wrap things up, I'm sure a lot of the listeners are going to be stressing out and maybe even procrastinating their finals reviews and stuff like that while listening to this. So What advice do you have for students that are going through the struggle right now or stressing out about final exams?
Just get through it, Go to the square, or not go to the square. Go to Outkick more than you go to the square. Maybe go to the square after you go to Outkick or something. Yeah. But yeah, you just got to get through it. Soldier on, buddy. Yeah. There's a shot at the end of the table waiting for you if you make it.
Come on down to the square. That'd be kind of interesting thing to do. Like some of these bars, like, hey, if you show us you get an A in your final.
Yeah. Well, the best time to go squaring, in my opinion, has always been around commencement time. Like, so? That's awesome. Yeah, like people go out there with parents and just packed all the time. Sometimes people go out in their cap and gown. It's super fun, and everybody's out there. Sometimes it'll be like the last time you're seeing like a group of people. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's a lot of fun at the end of it, but you got to make it through it.
Oh shit! Actually, I just realized there's another question here from one of the other guests. They asked, do you think Texas State basketball is going to make the March tournament this year?
I really love this team, actually. I love Texas State basketball. Huge fan of Nigel Pearson and all the boys. Mm-hmm. A newcomer, actually, Isaiah Small, has stolen my heart in place of Trey Lorraine's Nottingham, my former favorite player. I do think we have a shot to make the tournament, realistically. The biggest critique I think I have for this team has always been like the strength of the schedule. I mean, we went to Houston last night and kind of got smacked by 8 points. Yeah. It's like, what the heck? We play UTSA though, and they're 2-6, I believe. They didn't play anybody last night, but they're 2-6.
Who's the biggest opponent we have this year?
The biggest opponent that we had, we played Baylor. We lost to Baylor, and we played UNLV, but UNLV is not the team of the '90s. Yeah. And I did not know we were playing Houston until like a week ago, so that was kind of cool. Yeah. But Houston also is kind of, in that area where like, maybe they could get a playoff berth or I don't know. But this team is pretty good.
We haven't made the tournament since, what, the 90s?
Something like that,
somewhere in there, but it's been a while.
But I do love Danny Casper took SFA to the tournament. Yeah. So, I don't know. I love Coach Casper.
What do you think about SFA upsetting Duke?
That was crazy.
I was watching that. I was like, there's no way.
Those aren't any of his guys, sadly, but he built that foundation for them. Yeah. So that's sick.
Whew. That was...
I do not want Duke. I'm not one of those Texas State people that are like, we want Duke. No, thank you. You keep those guys away from us.
Yeah, I'd rather not get mutilated in front of an entire crowd. But those, unlike, honestly, our football team has been wanting, I'll say that, over the past couple of years. But, I mean, our basketball team, even win or lose, the games are fun. Those games are fun.
The games are fun.
I was at the UT Arlington game last year, the home game, where we went
that was a heartbreaker. Yeah.
Heartbreaker, but man,
one of the best players in the Sun Belt, Brian Warren.
Oh, my gosh. He was insane.
Number 0. Yeah. That guy's ridiculous.
That was a lot of fun, though. I remember we brought all our friends. It was, was it double overtime?
Double overtime.
Oh, man.
The blackout game. Never go to a blackout game because we lose.
Yeah. It seems that way.
Baseball, football, basketball, we'll lose them.
That might be a story of the year right there. Yeah. What is the correlation between wearing all black and losing?
I think we lost nearly every blackout game in baseball like that. And then any like themed game for some reason, I think we lost too.
Man. What do you think Texas State's football record's going to be next season?
Man, I was really pulling for them. I really wanted them to be, 4 and something. Or I was a little optimistic, honestly. I'm a huge Tyler Vitt fan. I think he's a great guy.
Yeah, actually, we played his high school.
San Antonio MacArthur?
I think we played him in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're a good team. He's a good quarterback, and I just like him because he's a good person, I think.
Yeah. What do you think's missing?
I think what's missing is just, it doesn't take it takes a long time to build the foundation of what a team can be, especially in the Sun Belt, because the Sun Belt is like a pretty good non-Power 5 school. Yeah. Or non-Power 5 league. And people don't realize like how actually competitive it is, and people don't realize like what it really takes to build a program. I think we signed like 9 or 10 like people that are actually like Spavital's guys, and so we're dealing with a lot of like missing pieces. And what I said in the beginning of of Spavital's career is like we're gonna know exactly what this team can't do at the A&M game, and that's what happened, and that's kind of been consistent the entire year. Like,
what I've seen is just
kind of an identity crisis.
I feel like I'm all about like pressuring and like running the ball. I think that's how you really win games in the long run. But it seems like it's always just run, pass. Yeah. Like if we can't get the first down on after a third or second down run play, we always try to throw an out route or something.
And those runs usually aren't massive.
It's just like a 2-yard.
It's a 2-yard
sludge up the middle.
Or we'd run a 5-yard hitch for some reason, and then it's a third down. Let's do something safe. QB sneak. Yeah. From our own 5. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to give Spavital some time. Because
I like SMAP. I asked for it, so I'm glad we got him.
I walked past him on campus. I was like, "Oh, hey, coach!" Like, I was like, "That was
he's a great guy. Yeah,
he seems really
and
cool.
he blew up the coaching staff. So I don't know what's happening now.
He just cleaned house last
so
week.
That
right?
might also be a story of the year too.
Yeah, he's just. I mean, it was like what, the Red Wedding. It was just like everybody dead.
He fired about 6 coaches, including the
Yeah.
strength and conditioning coach and a bunch of other people.
And
so.
we're losing some serious senior talent too. This next year. We're losing
like
Brian London.
Nearly the entire defense. Yeah.
Oh, Brian, do you think he'll get drafted?
I love Bilo.
Yeah.
Bilo is probably like one of my favorite just people in San Marcos. Yeah, he's a great guy. I hope he gets drafted.
I mean,
I could seriously see him doing some damage.
He's set some school records, man. I mean,
he has these school records.
He's got the resume.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just. But also, we had what's his name, the tight end last year,
Keenan Brown.
Keenan Brown.
Yeah.
Where'd he end it? Is he Houston now?
He was doing some stuff for the Rams initially. He signed on as probably just a free agent on the practice squad, and he bounced around for a little bit. He ended up in Houston for a second. But then ultimately he was cut. Oh, so now I think he's just kind of feeling it out. You know, the XFL is an option. I think.
That would be interesting seeing there. I still cannot believe San Antonio didn't get an XFL team. He gave one to Houston and Dallas again, but he didn't give one to San Antonio.
Well, you know,
look
at the marker though.
Yeah,
look at the market.
I mean, we had the AAF though. I went to those games.
You went to the San Antonio Commanders game?
The Commanders were awesome, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was weird because, like, it's a family thing. Like, I love the Packers. We're all Wisconsin sports. But it was really kind of odd when they're doing the pre-roll stuff and they're showing the Riverwalk and the Alamo. Because, like, San Antonio's like, that's my city. And I was like, I feel this really weird sense of, like, just immediate, like, yes, these are my boys. Like,
I don't have to just like the Spurs anymore.
Yeah. I know. I think we have the market to support it. We led the league in attendance every single game. But we still can't get it. We get Dallas and Houston. I understand the market size in Dallas and everything, but still.
Well, if you look at any market in Texas, like you go to those two first, just because you could probably turn a profit the fastest.
Yeah, I mean
Dallas then Houston, respectively.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't think San Antonio's ever going to get an NFL team too because you need
not the 30 San Antonio Raiders like they were talking about.
I was actually kind of excited for that because like, well, hey, we already got silver and black here anyway.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fine. And actually, I think they were talking about because Al Davis owns land. They said somewhere between Austin and San Antonio. So I'm thinking it could be like around San Marcos.
Yeah.
That'd be insane.
That'd be kind of ridiculous.
Have an NFL stadium just chilling like 20 miles down the road or something like that. That'd be pretty fun to go to those games. Well, anyway, Jacob, this has been an absolute blast. Thank you for coming on to wrap up the second season.
For sure, man. Thanks for coming down, Studio C.
Oh, yeah. It's been an honor to be here in the studio for the University Star. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at San Show if you want San more, and you want to. I'm sure everybody knows University Star.
Yeah,
Twitter,
it's just at University Star. Yeah. You can also follow me at Jakob RYROD. So,
all right, check them out. And really quickly, before I sign off, I just want to thank every last one of y'all listeners from the bottom of my heart. Those who tune in every week and who promote and retweet our stuff on Twitter, you guys are the absolute best. Y'all give me the energy to get up and do this every week and put this out and spend those late nights editing at my desk. You guys are the absolute best. Feel free to reach out to us during the off season. Give us any pointers, any tips, any questions you want answered. I am more than happy to answer them for you. And please go check out my boy Quentin Ford on SoundCloud. He has put together a lot of music for this show. He has been an absolute joy to work with, and he's very talented. I recommend you guys go check him out, give him a listen. He's really helped make this show happen. Once again, thank you all from the bottom of my heart. This is Jacob Cleveland, host with The San Most, signing off for 2019 and for Season 2 of The San Most Show. I hope you all get nothing but A's on your finals. Have a great rest of the semester.